Hi guys, it's me. Duh. Kind of says that at the bottom of the video under the description. Here I am. You guys have been asking for this for a long ass time. Ever since I posted it on a channel update as a part of a list of games that I could do in the future, people have been asking me, Dragon Age, why you no do this? The answer is, beforehand I never really had time as part of my uploading schedule, but now I do, because circumstances have quite abruptly changed. Thanks, by the way, Google. So here we are. Now I've been sitting here trying to figure out how exactly I was going to do the introduction to this, and in the end I just decided to slap on that record button and dive right in, because that's usually the best way to get these done. So, welcome to Dragon Age Origins, which is for those of you, like all three of you that don't know what this is, it's a RPG developed by BioWare. I don't know, I wouldn't call it an old game, but it's getting on a bit, I suppose. And in my opinion, it's probably the last true CRPG BioWare ever really made. Dragon Age 2, I mean, lots of people don't like it. I'm on the fence about it, even after having played it through. But I still don't consider it, even though it's got its good and bad sides, one thing I don't consider it to be is a real CRPG in the same way this is. Dragon Age Origins treads the line between something like Baldur's Gate and something more cinematic like Mass Effect, and for the most part veers to the side of something more like Baldur's Gate. I like those kind of games, personally, and that's one of the reasons why this is one of my favourite games. Obviously it benefits from it being developed by BioWare, who are extremely good at this sort of thing, or at least they used to be. And it's one of my favourite RPGs, probably of all time, quite frankly. It is the RPG that really introduced me to this CRPG kind of genre. Prior to playing Dragon Age, back when it sort of, I think pretty much when it came out, because I used to have it on the Xbox, believe it or not. Prior to this, the only real RPGs, I guess you could call them, that I had played were really sort of Diablo clones, action RPGs and open world stuff like Morrowind. I hadn't played what is considered to be a true CRPG in the tradition of BioWare and Black Isle and so on and so forth. So this is what got me into stuff like Baldur's Gate, stuff like Planescape Torment, Icewind Dale, the first two Fallout games, all that kind of stuff. So obviously it's a very special game to me, and remains one of my favourites among that genre as a whole. It's not a game without its flaws. I will probably go over those more than once over the course of this series. It's definitely not a flawless game at all whatsoever. I have a lot of issues with Dragon Age Origins, actually, believe it or not, even though I love it so much. But less said about that now. That's something we can delve into later. So anyway, people have been asking for this for ages, and as a result I'd kind of been planning to do a playthrough of this for quite some time, including what kind of character I was going to be playing through with this, and that sort of thing. First things first, obviously this is not going to be a blind let's play. I've put hundreds of hours into this game. So it's not going to be blind. I know the game relatively well. I've played it a lot, but it's always been very on and off, so I tend to forget a lot of things, so you're going to have to bear with me if I don't manage to, find everything and to do everything, and this is not going to be a sort of 100% completion run, if you like. I'm just going to play the game as I would normally play it, and try and roleplay it as much as possible, play it in the mind of my own character. Let my decisions in the game reflect that character's mindset and ambitions and goals and personality, basically. So yeah, that's the general gist of what's going to happen. I'm going to go through character creation. I may just sort of skip the whole cosmetic side of it, because that usually I fuss over for quite a long time and it's a bit dull to watch. So, but yeah, as for the character himself, well, let's get to that, shall we? So new game. Oh, as far as downloadable content and whatnot is concerned, I've disabled all the stupid stuff like, you know, Blood Dragon plate armor and the feast day pranks and whatnot. That's all gone, deleted from the game. Well, you know, just deactivated here because they're just cheat stuff. It's cheat items at the end of the day. I don't want that. But I do. This is the Ultimate Edition, so this does include Awakening. Will I be playing Awakening? People will undoubtedly want to ask. Probably, but as part of this particular series, maybe not. I think I may do that as a separate thing, because Awakening is fairly lengthy in itself, actually. Obviously, it's not as long as Origins. Origins is titanically long if you drag it out as long as possible, but Awakening is quite good. So, but that will probably be a separate thing, I imagine. But anyway, we're going to be playing Origins, obviously, so let's get started. I'll probably get a cutscene here, if I remember correctly, for which I will shut up and let you guys listen.
The Chantry teaches us that it is the hubris of men which brought the Darkspawn into our world. The mages had sought to usurp heaven, but instead they destroyed it. They were cast out, twisted and cursed by their own corruption. They returned as monsters, the first of the Darkspawn. They became a blight upon the lands, unstoppable and relentless. The Dwarven kingdoms were the first to fall, and from the deep roads, the Darkspawn drove at us again and again, until finally we neared annihilation. Until the Grey Wardens came. Men and women from every race, warriors and mages, barbarians and kings. The Grey Wardens sacrificed everything to stem the tide of darkness, and prevailed. It has been 4 centuries since that victory, and we have kept our vigil. We have watched and waited for the Darkspawn to return. But those who once called us heroes have forgotten. We are few now, and our warnings have been ignored for too long. Even be too late. For I have seen with my own eyes what lies on the horizon. Maker, help us all.
And there we go. Nice cool cutscene. Yes, the background you select will determine which of the 6 distinct opening stories you play through. It also affects how characters respond to you throughout the game. This here, this is one of the things I like the most about the game, actually. This element of choice right at the beginning, and the way that it shapes the rest of the game for you as well. I've always been a big proponent of the idea that character creation, very down to your selection of gender, race, and class, should carry far-reaching consequences in an RPG, and it does in this game, which I'm a huge fan of. So yeah. Sorry about the little pause there. I had to stop and attend to something. Anyway, basically, what character am I going to be playing as? Now, this is the character I've had planned out for a while, and people have also given me suggestions on character ideas and stuff like that. And the one I'm going to go with is... I'm not going to be playing as a human, I'm not going to be playing as an elf, I'm going to be playing as a dwarf. I'm actually going to go with what is my favourite, I think, origin story in the game. I'm going to play a fighter character as well. Rogues are useful, but I don't really like having a player character that is a rogue, personally. The first character I ever played in this game, for those who are interested, was actually the mage. And I've played mages quite a lot in this game, and fighters not quite so much. I generally tended to be like, well, okay, I'll have the NPCs tank for me, and I'll do all the interesting, fun, magic-y stuff. But this time I feel like I want to play a warrior character, and of the two dwarf backgrounds, I'm going to go with the dwarf noble, because it suits perfectly the exact kind of character I want to make. This character, he is going to be a bit of an anti-hero, I think, to say the least. This is not necessarily, and there was one guy in the comments for one of the last videos I put up where I was talking about this. He said it'd be nice if I had played a character who wasn't necessarily particularly nice. And that, luckily enough for you, whoever you were, I'm afraid I didn't make a note of your name. We're going to be playing with a character that's not terrifically nice. He's not going to be outright evil, but one thing he is going to be is fairly ruthless. But I don't want to typecast him either, though. That's the thing. I don't want him to be a one-note sort of a character. He's going to have a bit more to him. I think you should organically kind of learn as we play through the game, and I explain my decisions and things like that as we go along, and you'll get an idea and a feel for who this character really is. But to begin with, we're starting with a dwarf noble, and I'm not going to try not to explain this too much right now in excessive detail, because A, that will take a long time, and B, I don't want to spoil things as well, in case people are watching this that just haven't played the game yet, or haven't done maybe the dwarf noble background before, or just anything like that, really. So yeah, I'm going to be playing a dwarf noble. I'm going to do all the cosmetic nonsense right now and get this character looking the way I want him to look. People tell me I fuss over this sort of thing far too much, and you're absolutely right, I do. But I personally feel, and this is just really coming from me as a game art design student who does game art and concept art and that sort of thing quite a lot, I feel like getting a character's appearance right is fundamental. It's a fundamental part of, you know, kind of expressing that character's personality a bit. So I have a very specific idea of what this character is going to be like, and I want his you know, kind of his appearance to match that, if you know what I mean. So I'll be back when I've kind of mucked about with that a bit. So hang on a second. May I present to you, viewers, Prince Harald Idukun, second son of the King of Orzammar, in all his glory, I suppose. Yeah, here he is. This is our man. Meet Harald. Well, it's Harald, really. That's where I think you're supposed to pronounce it, considering it's an Old Norse name, Harald. But I'm probably just going to end up calling him Harold, honestly. But in any case, here he is. Prince Harald Idukun, of House Idukun. If you're curious as to why he looks the way he does, the main reason is that, without getting into serious spoiler territory, your character, if you pick the Dwarf Noble origin, has two brothers. And I always thought it was a little bit odd sometimes if you made a character that didn't look even remotely like either your father or your brothers. And so I was aiming with this guy when I was making him on the customization screen to actually sort of give him a striking resemblance to his brothers Trian and Balin, who you're going to meet fairly soon over the course of the origin story bit. So anyway, here he is, Harald Arducan, of noble birth, of course, of the ruling house Arducan, the head of whose house is currently the king of Orzammar. So what can I tell you about Harold? Well, he's noble born, and that obviously reflects a lot of his opinions are reflected in that. He has grown up, taking part in the political games that sort of take place in Orzammar, which is the Dwarven city in this game, and so he's quite a politically savvy sort of a fellow. He also considers himself a talented war leader. As you're going to see in this origin story, he's actually about to get his commission as commander of Orzammar's armies, basically. And so he considers himself well versed in the arts of war. He's quite a warrior in his own right, in fact. And obviously that's going to reflect his opinions on different things and that sort of thing, but he's quite politically savvy as well. His older brother, Trian, is the one in line for the throne. However, he's perfectly aware that in Orzammar, the future king is not actually chosen solely by birthright. It's actually voted by the dwarves' assembly, which is, kind of like a congress of sorts. And sometimes the younger brother of a prince can actually get voted in by the assembly as king if he's more popular. And Harold here is quite aware of that. And you're going to see the way he reacts to his older brother Trian in this thing, kind of reflecting his opinions of the guy and that sort of thing. He would never openly oppose his brother Trian because he's family, but he's well aware that his actions are being watched by the other dwarves of the assembly and stuff like that. So he also considers himself something of a reformer, a bit like his younger brother Balin. Whereas Trian is definitely a traditionalist, very stuck in his ways. Now, don't mistake that for Harald being kind of incredibly open-minded and all that sort of thing. He's still a dwarf that spent all his life in the noble sort of castes of Orzammar. This guy is fairly set in his ways, generally speaking, and you're going to see the way he reacts to sort of encountering humans and that sort of thing, kind of influenced by that. However, compared to his brother Trian, for example, he is what he would like to think of as a bit of a reformer. He's a little more open-minded, but that's for a dwarf, basically, is what I'm saying. Which is not possibly the same by this. You shouldn't really be judged by the same standards as a human. So anyway, I will stop waffling now, and we'll get started, I think. So I'm just going to dump all this into strength for now. Constitution would be a good thing as well, but 20 strength is usually good because that allows you to wield most early decent weapons. I found a lot of the good weapons to start with, like the magic swords and things like that, they usually have a strength requirement of about 20, so I'm going to up that just completely to 20 for now, and we'll worry about constitution, dexterity and so on later. Points to spend, we'll give him a point in coercion. 1, because it's useful, and 2, because he's a noble in Orzammar. Coercion is as much of a tool in his arsenal as his sword is, so that's something to bear in mind. I will also be upping his cunning a bit as well as we progress through the thing, so I can get more coercion options unlocked and that sort of thing, because he's a pretty good talker, is this fella. A decent motivational speaker when the occasion demands it. After all, he's a competent and talented war leader. At least he considers himself to be anyway. So, as for these, I think I'll go with powerful. Some nice passive bonuses, and we'll go with shield defense as well. He's going to be a straight up sword and shield tank. Is Harold. I want him to be able to absorb lots of damage and stuff like that, and deal out a fair amount of his own, but mainly there is going to be there as a shield to sort of protect other party members and things like that. That's kind of his role here, ultimately. I did think about going sort of the two-handed DPS route, but I think I just prefer this. The weapon and shield route. I've done the two-handed route and I've done the archery route before, and I think I've done the dual weapon route before. I've never done a character who's been weapon and shield, so this should be interesting, I guess. So let's go. And yeah, I'm going to be playing this on normal difficulty. I tried as a test run on hard, and yeah, this game doesn't muck about. Hard is hard. Normal is enough challenge for me. So let's do this.
Deep beneath the Frostback Mountains sits Orzammar, the larger of two known remaining dwarven cities in the world. Orzammar was once the seat of a major empire connected by tunnels called Deep Roads, which stretched thousands of miles. The city now stands alone, cut off from the rest of the dwarven ancestral lands by the Darkspawn incursion. Secure in Orzammar's impregnable construction, the dwarven noble houses continue their centuries-old power struggles. Assassination and blackmail are commonplace, but the appearance of honor is paramount. You are the second child of King Endron of House Aiducan, the 9th Aiducan ruler elected by the noble assembly. You grew up in a world rife with political intrigue, and have struggled against brothers and cousins for honor and prestige. Today, a feast celebrates your first military commission, the opening move towards real power in the ever-changing game of dwarven politics.
Greetings, my lord. You are dressed and ready. Excellent. I couldn't find the armor's matching dagger, but I scrounged up a rather fancy longsword. Do you wish to wear your shield to the noble's feast?
Alright, so this is our... I think he's called a second, basically. He's kind of like a manservant, slightly. I don't know, it's difficult to say. He's a cross between a bodyguard and a butler and all sorts of other sort of cool stuff. So he's our second. And this is Gorim here. We like Gorim. We do. We consider him a friend, basically. You can't have too many friends in a place like Orzammar, but since he's loyal to us anyway, we get on quite well with him, and he's a good pal. Always watching our back, making sure we aren't doing anything too stupid, and making sure we're staying safe, and so on and so forth. So that's something to bear in mind when we kind of talk to him and stuff like that. So better safe than sorry, shield me, I think we'll say. We'll go with that. I'll take the sort of more light-hearted option, because we're between friends at the minute. We're not out in public trying to appear all high and mighty, so...
Certainly. You'll cut an imposing picture out there. Of course, if every other noble has a shield and 3 swords, you'll feel awfully underdressed.
Yes, you, my friend, are ridiculous.
One can't take all this marching about and speech-making too seriously. Moving on to the business at hand. The king expects you to make an appearance at the feast, but there's no rush. The noble family heads will spend hours boring your father with petitions and petty grievances.
I think I will go with the art of ruling is hardly boring, because Harold doesn't consider it particularly boring, and one day perhaps he may end up himself king of Orzammar. At least that's what he's hoping in his wildest dreams, anyway.
If you say so. Listening to 100 lords complain that their neighbors use the same underhanded tactics they themselves employ would tire on me after about, a minute. Still, there are other excitements. As part of the celebrations, permits have been auctioned off to members of the merchant caste who wish to sell wares in the Diamond Quarter. Lord Harrowmont has also opened up the provings for young warriors to test their mettle before tomorrow's battle. Perhaps we should go show them what single combat is really all about. And by we, I mean you. I'll practice my cheering.
Proving sounds appealing. Let's go to see the merchants. Fighting each other before battle is wasteful. Why don't you want to fight the proving Scorim? Let's ask him that.
You remember last year's open proving? It took your father's smith 6 hours to remove my helmet. I'm not meant for single combat. I fight as my lord's second in shield. That's enough for me.
That's kind of important as well. Because he's our second. Like it's a kind of a reflection of the kind of bond between these two, is that they're trained even to fight together as almost a single unit. It's quite clever, I think, the way they kind of implied that through this little tidbit of lore here. So you know, let's go have a look at the proving. Although we're not going to actually go and fight in the proving ourselves. Because there was an option to say like fighting before a battle is wasteful, and I thought about maybe going with that, but decided to ask Gorim anyway about why he didn't want to fight. But Harold is a sensible fellow, and he's perfectly aware that if he picks up some sort of injury while taking part in the proving, that would put him out of action for the battle that's literally going on the very next day. So, you know, taking part in a bloody tournament is probably not a very clever thing to do, so he's not going to be doing that. But he's probably going to go watch, since it is in his being held in his honour anyway. So that would seem like the right thing to do. So let's go have a look.
Right behind you, my lord. The day is ours until the feast.
Alright. Nice bedroom, by the way, Harold. Like, seriously. If I could have a room like this, mind you, I suppose the acoustics would be pretty bad if I had to record Let's Plays in here, but, still. Huh.
On it.
New Codex, the City of Automar. Oh, right, Codex entries, right. I'm probably going to read these, actually, because, believe it or not, I've never bothered to read most of them before. I've played this game through quite a few times, but I've never actually bothered to read a lot of them myself. Like maybe one or two that seemed important, but I haven't really actually bothered to read them, and consequentially, I don't know as much about Dragon Age's sort of lore as I wish I sort of did. So I think over the course of this, I am going to read it through. I know you guys sort of often quite like me reading things, because when I play Skyrim or Oblivion, you like it when I read the books. So I'm assuming there will be no objections if I read stuff. So, let's see. Journal. Codex. City of Orzammar, right, so... but you're going to have to bear with me a bit as well, because, unfortunately... I took a break earlier in the middle of character creation, and just because I had to go do the live stream. And so I'm doing this the day after I recorded the first part of this video. And as luck would have it, I woke up with a sore throat this morning, so this might be a bit stressful. But anyway, I'm going to do it. I'm going to suffer for my art. The dwarves are lauded for their craftsmanship, and the city of Orzammar is one of their finest works. Orzammar lies at the heart of the Frostback Mountains deep underground. The city arcs outward from the royal palace, which is built around a natural lava vent, continually fountaining liquid rock which both lights and heats the entire cavern. The topmost tier of Orzammar is home to the noble caste, that's us, by the way, with their palaces fanning out in both directions from the court of the king, as well as the Shaperate, which serves as a repository for all dwarven knowledge. The lower tier is the commons, where the merchant caste holds sway and where the finest works of Orzammar's craftsmen are for sale. In the centre of the river of lava, connected to the commons by a causeway, are the proving grounds, a sacred arena where the dwarves, by ancient tradition, settled their disputes. On one side of the fiery river are the ruins of old dwarven palaces, fallen into disrepair, which the locals call Dust Town, now home to the city's casteless. On the other side of the river are the deep roads, which once joined the sprawling dwarven empire together, but now, after centuries of darkspawn incursions, are largely sealed off. Nearly all knowledge of this network of underground passages has been lost, even to its builders. From In Pursuit of Knowledge, The Travels of a Chantry Scholar by Brother Genetivi. We've also got Orzammar Politics and Dwarven Faith. This is all kind of quite relevant to this, my character as well, so I am going to read this. Feel free to skip ahead, you know, if you don't want to read that, you don't want to listen to this stuff. I'm not going to stop you. So anyway, as dangerous as it is to mistake a dwarf's caste, it is far more deadly to mistake his alliances among the noble houses of Orzammar. Everyone in the city is allied with someone, whether by blood or by word. The nobles do not engage directly in commerce themselves, as that is the domain of the merchant caste, but they do serve as patrons. They invest in shops or in artisans' work, and in turn reap a share of the profits as well as a measure of the credit. Merchants and warriors alike benefit from the service of a prestigious patron. The relative power of each house is ever-changing, and it is usually safe to assume that whichever noble house holds the throne is at the top of the heap, but below that things grow into a tangled mess. Houses ally with one another by marriage. They earn rank and prestige when combatants loyal to them, or from their own bloodlines win provings. They earn it when the artisans they patronize become sought after or well regarded, or when the merchants they invest in become successful. The degrees of power that these achievements confer is so murky, even to the dwarves, that it isn't unusual for nobles to challenge each other to provings over whose smith forges better belt buckles, or whose servants have the best manners. Nor is it out of the ordinary to find two merchants arguing over whose noble patron has won the most acclaim, for the rank of the patron is the rank of the client. Nowhere is this more apparent than in the assembly, where the Deshers, representatives of each noble house, meet. Although the king technically rules Orzammar, kings are elected by the assembly, that's as I explained earlier, and so each king must work constantly to maintain the support of the Deshers. Kings who prove unpopular find their heirs deemed unacceptable to inherit the throne. Power then passes to another house. Again from the same book. And Dwarven Faith. We are the children of the stone. She supports us, shelters us, offers us the most priceless gifts of the earth. The worthy return to her embrace in death, becoming ancestors. The unworthy are cast out, unable to rest, that their failings may not weaken the stone. So it has been since the earliest memories. We live by the stone, guided by the ancestors who speak with the voice of the provings, and whose memories the Shaperate keeps forever in Lyrium. We do not accept the empty promises of heaven as the wild elves do, or vie for the favour of absent gods. Instead, we follow in the footsteps of our paragons, the greatest of our ancestors, warriors, craftsmen, leaders, the greatest examples of life spent in service to our fellow dwarves. Our paragons joined with the stone in life, and now stand watch at our gate, ushering in those services privileged to visit our city. We know there is no greater honour to hope for, no better reward for an exceptional life. As told by Shaper Zebor. So there you go, that's how the dwarves' religion works, basically. They don't really have a religion, they just sort of venerate their ancestors and the virtues that they represent, which is an interesting kind of a thing, I suppose. I'm trying to imagine if there's like maybe a real world religion that has a similar kind of a attitude, but I'm drawing a bit of a blank, I'm afraid. Either way, though, that will probably give you a clue as to how Harold is going to react to other characters in the game and other institutions as well. He's naturally going to find forms of organised religion, like the stuff the humans adhere to be a little bit, well, you know, a little bit. I don't really know what the word is. A little irrational, maybe, I think. I think he's going to think possibly they're all a bit nuts, praying to their invisible friend in the sky, rather than looking to real individuals in history that can provide them with inspiration and guidance as to how they can live their own lives, you know. But anyway, so that's not something we're dealing with right now. So here we are. We're going to go off to the provings then, basically, and just have a bit of a wander around Orzammar as well, I think. See what there is around. Oh, by the way, in case you didn't know, you can actually press Z on the keyboard to walk in this game. It took me forever to figure that out, but you can actually do that. So, yeah. Dwarven Noble Origin. Like I said, it's my favourite. In fact, Orzammar is probably my favourite area in the game. And no particular reason other than I think just anything to do with dwarves in fantasy is good man. You keep staying watch. But I think anything to do with fantasy, dwarves in fantasy. I mean, always kind of I just sort of love. I don't know. There's something I find really kind of. Not the devil. There's something I find sort of quite interesting about the idea of an entire civilization living like, the hundreds of miles beneath the surface of the earth. I don't know. It harkens back to a lot of that sort of old Jules Verne Journey to the Centre of the Earth stuff, and I don't know. I just like it. I find it really interesting, and so when it comes to like anything like that, I love it. Like, the Mines of Moria was always my favourite bit of all 3 Lord of the Rings films for that reason. Hello?
I'm sorry. I thought you were Prince Balin coming down the hall. Forgive me.
What are you doing in my brother's quarters?
She's, it seems she's one of your brother Balin's newest, companions.
Ah.
Prince Balin is attending the feast being held in Lord Iduken's honor.
Yes, of course. It was presumptuous of me to think that he would return to... I am sorry. I will show myself out, with your leave, my lord.
Gorum, tell her she may take her leave of me. Oh, you can be such a knobhead. It's great, isn't it? Yes, you may go.
Thank you. I will go now.
Well, and don't nick anything on the way out either. That's my job. No, this is our brother's quarters. We really shouldn't be poking around. That's just nonsense. Come, Gorim. We must leave. Things to do, people to see, and all that sort of stuff. And that is a mighty fine sword.
I am
if
proud
don't
to
mind
serve the Idukans.
saying.
I am at your service.
Damn right you are. I believe these are lyrium crystals, aren't they? Lyrium veins or something. Pretty cool though. They use the like glowing crystals as a light source and stuff like that. I love how you have this very clear impression that this has absolutely been carved out of solid rock, because you've still got the ceiling with the the stalactites and stuff hanging down there, and all that sort of thing. It's just really cool. I love it. It's nothing like that in real life. Like, a lot of things in fantasy games, like when it comes to sort of architecture and stuff like that, are incredibly derivative. It's all a lot very much based on things in real life. But you get something like this. There's nothing like this in real life. It's just awesome. Anyway,
I am at your service.
That's locked.
I am at your service.
I am at your service. I am at your service. If one of them just sort of, I walk past one of them and he says, "Get out of here, stalker," I think I'm going to explode. Who are you?
I went to watch the provings. Most exciting.
Good.
Your father speaks highly of your skill.
Yes, well, as well he should.
I am at your service.
That's going to get old fast, isn't it?
Your father has allowed the merchants to show their wares in the Diamond Quarter during these celebrations.
Jolly good. We actually got a codex entry then, I think. Where was it? General Codex. Also, what's our current quest thing? The Noble's Feast. Your father, King Indrin, has arranged for a feast to celebrate your appointment as Orzammar's newest commander. However, you have several hours before your father will be ready to present you to the other nobles. You may visit the merchants who have set up shop in the Diamond Quarter, or watch the provings that are being held in your honour. The proving grounds are one tier down from the Diamond Quarter in the Commons. Right, gotcha. So what did we get there? Life in Orzammar. The dwarves of Orzammar are quite unlike those found in most human cities. Although Orzammar derives its vast wealth from trade with human kingdoms, all dwarves who come up to the surface to trade are stripped of their position in society. Dwarven merchants are so ubiquitous in human cities that many people labour under the impression that all dwarves are merchants, or that their whole race worships coin and trade, but these surface dwarves are atypical creatures, the ones willing to give up all ties to their kin and sacrifice their rank in order to conduct business. Below ground, the dwarves are a people obsessed with honour, their own and that of their family. Most nobles incorporate chainmail even into formal gowns, because slights and insults often turn deadly. They are a people who revere excellence and strive to achieve it in all things. Even members of the servant caste have been elevated to paragons, usually posthumously, in recognition of remarkable service. There you go. So, well, apparently we can't go up that way, because I think that's where the assembly is, I believe, up that way. There's always something quite sci-fi about some of this architecture. I don't know. It's just... It's damn impressive, though. I mean, look at it. It's huge. I don't know how that lava isn't all roasting us alive, but, you know, whatever.
I'm sure we can work this out reasonably. It's in the records. There's nothing I can do.
Help.
Please, Master Volney. My work is accredited by the Shaper.
These books are lies written by the enemies of House Volney.
I write only what I find in the ancient records. Lord Iduken, you can vouch for my work, can't you? Your father loved my History of Iduken, Paragon King, Peacemaker.
We better double check that. Gorham, does this scholar truly have my father's favour?
The king, as well as several other lords, are quite fond of his work. He writes of the ancient paragons.
This worm has written a book that slanders my house.
What does it say?
It doesn't matter. It's all lies.
What exactly has he written, Brunton?
He says that Volney, the paragon who founded my house, known throughout the world as the greatest of men, was a fraud.
Not precisely. When the Assembly names a paragon, that man or woman is then, by definition, everything one can aspire to be in the world. They form their own noble houses and are revered as living ancestors. But paragons start off as men.
Volney was more than a man.
Gorham, does any of this make any sense to you? Get to the point. Why is Brunton so angry?
Volney became a paragon by the narrowest margin in history. One vote. A vote mired in rumors of intimidation, intrigue, and outright bribery. The records of that vote are kept in the Shaperate and are a matter of fact. Not liking history doesn't make it any less true.
Yeah, I think we're going to go with this. The true or false, the Paragon's reputation must be protected, and that's absolutely true. As far as Harold is concerned, anyway. You know, they are the Paragons; they are to be honoured, and you don't need to. They don't need slandering, basically. You know, he's saying like, you know, it was a vote mired in conspiracy and, you know, blackmail and stuff like that. And to be fair, if we're totally honest with ourselves, probably every vote for every king or a paragon ever has been mired in that sort of stuff, knowing Orzammar. So we'll go with this one. True or false, the paragon's reputation must be protected.
Exactly. Just because it happened doesn't mean it's the truth, old man. Your Highness, allow me to kill this worm for his disrespect.
Right, now we don't want him dead, because like Gorham said, he has our father's favour. So he's one of ours, basically. So no, I trust he's learned his lesson here.
You would have me write lies? Just to appease some idea about honor?
Just be careful which truths you tell, yeah.
Perhaps I could emphasize Volney's perseverance over great odds.
Would that satisfy you, Lord Volney?
He should be killed. but I bow to House Iduken's fabled mercy.
There we go. I feel like we resolved that fairly well, hopefully.
My thanks. House Iduken is blessed to have you.
Good stuff. Right then. Let's go see what else is around here.
Such a small bolt of cloth? That's outrageous. You certainly have some gall, merchant.
But my lord, these are surface silks, dyed with the finest saffron and indigo and embroidered by skilled elven tradesmen. I've seen Prince Balin Iduken himself wearing a robe made of something quite similar.
So I pay your exorbitant price, only to end up looking like a poor imitation of Prince Balin. You'll get no coin from me.
But that's not what I meant, my lord. My lord!
Okay. By the way, just a very minor thing, but I like how the character's head points in the direction you're moving the mouse. That's kind of cool. But anyway, hello.
My lord Iduken, you honor me by visiting my humble booth. May I show you my wares?
Do you have something I might want?
Not for a mighty warrior such as yourself, my lord, but perhaps a lady friend. I forget myself. I'll be silent.
This looks to be mostly fabrics from the human lands. These merchants form alliances with those who have abandoned our ways to live on the surface.
I think we'll go with this one, yeah. We trade good steel and stone for this?
It's a shame, I agree. Perhaps we should get going.
Silks and fabrics, I mean, good grief.
Our trust follow, big brother. How surprising to run into you out among the common folk.
Especially since duty requires that you attend our King Father at the feast today. Have you so little respect for him to disregard his wishes on a day set aside for you?
Lord Harrowmont told me we wouldn't be needed for hours at least.
Silence! If I want the opinion of my siblings second, I will ask for it.
Yes, Your Highness.
Oh, that by the way is Trian. I mentioned him earlier. And that is our brother, the younger brother, Balin. Balin, help me out here, please. We're on quite good terms with Balin. Trian's a bit of a douche nozzle, frankly. But Balin, Harold gets on quite well with, generally speaking. So, Balin, help me out here, please.
You're on your own. I've been dealing with him all afternoon.
What exactly is that supposed to mean, little brother?
Nothing, Trian. I've been having a great time. The speech you gave to the legless boy about hard work and making something of himself was fantastic.
As heir to the throne, it is my duty to impart wisdom and judgment upon those who need it. Now then, you, get to the feast.
I think... Is that a police car right here? Yep. Wouldn't be an episode of one of my Let's Plays if you didn't hear a friggin' police car halfway through. Anyway, I think we're just going to be Yodkios, brother, because we know better by this point than to argue with Trian, because it's just completely pointless. You might as well argue with a brick wall.
That's my proper, dutiful brother. I'll be along later to toast your command. Come, Balin.
That was fun. Nothing like being talked down to by the next king.
It's got to be alive to be king, is what Harold is probably thinking. But, just ignore him. It's my day, not his.
That it is. Let's get back to enjoying it, shall we?
Ooh, wonder if we got a cool view. Yeah, pretty impressive. Look at that. Oh, blimey. I believe that is the proving arena down there. Oh, what? I accidentally just clicked on Gorim. Damn it, never mind. Tell me about your family, Gorim.
Not much that you don't already know. My father's father was a great hero of the Deep Roads excursions and raised the family to the top of the warrior caste. He was even nominated to join the assembly and found a noble house, but the honor was in the nomination. He wasn't afforded a single vote. My father served your father for many years, and now I serve you.
Are you excited about the battle tomorrow?
Yes, I yearn to face the Darkspawn and prove my worth as your second.
Will be spectacular, my dear fellow.
May the stones support us, and the ancestors look down with pride.
We should get going, though.
As you will.
Right, okay, that was not something I actually meant to do, but never mind. Bonus dialogue for the win, and yeah, anyway, I was going to say that that's the proving arena down there, I think. I didn't realise you could see all that down there from up here. I never bothered to zoom out like that before. Huh. Well, anyway. That's a high-ass ceiling. So anyway, what else is there to do around here? Hello.
Look at this piece, darling. It rivals even the work of the Paragon Smith herself.
Nonsense, woman. Your words bring shame upon our house. See how the edges are rough and pitted? Would you compare this to Bronca's work? Trust a woman to speak of things she doesn't understand.
Oh, sound bugged out there a bit, didn't it?
My lord Idukan, nothing here rivals your amazing Idukan armor, but if you wish something made...
You know very well House Idukan has its own royal armorers.
Of course. Forgive me.
Show me your wares anyway, merchant.
You honor me, your highness.
What's he got? He's got a helmet. I don't have a helmet at the minute. To be fair. I don't know if then again, I don't have any money either. So, that's probably... Yeah, no, never mind. Well, a helmet would be useful, but A, we don't have any money, and B, we probably shouldn't buy it from him. When we have our own royal armorers, as Gorim quite rightly pointed out. So, hello, shiny things.
I doubt he's...
I don't know, should I? I'm kind of a noble. I don't think I should go around looting random barrels.
I would love to end up with a red head.
Would that Sir Blackstone were a noble, Stand up straight. They're coming.
Alright, this I have to see.
What have we here? Two handsome, strapping, noble lords. You both look so grand.
And isn't this the man of the hour, the king's son?
Who's your friend, my lord? Another noble from the honored House Idukan?
This is Sir Gorim of the warrior caste.
Oh, then not a noble?
No, Telly, not a noble. Stone you're thick sometimes.
I'm a noble.
That you are, my lord. Can I interest you in a little bedded diversion?
Aren't you two merchants? I think Harold is always interested in bedded diversion. For just as a point of interest, lore-wise, actually, this is kind of apparently, as I recall, and I think Gorim will actually explain it if you choose a different dialogue option. But this is actually quite common in Orzammar. Hence, we discovered one such lady like this in our brother's, lingering around in our brother's quarters. So, but anyway, so yeah, I think Harold is always interested in bedded diversion.
Shall I come to your chambers after the ceremony then?
I talked to him first. I want him.
He's looking for a woman, Telly, not a little girl. I'm Marty, and I know how to give my lord a night he'll remember.
Do I really have to pick just one? Let's do it.
Oh, my lord has his energy about him.
There will be no 3 to a bed if that's what you're thinking. We both require full experiences all to ourselves. If you think you can manage us both, though...
Both of you it is.
This should prove most interesting. We will wait for you together, my lord, and show you the proper way to celebrate a princely commission.
Right. This is already turning out to be a good day, isn't it, Harold? Right. So, anyway... That actually, like, believe it or not, well, that there will actually have vaguely far-reaching consequences, but I won't spoil it for you. Other merchants.
Only the freshest food for your noble table.
You really need to shout in my face, woman. Weapon merchant. Aha!
Greetings, my lord Idukan. I am so honored to have you visit my booth. I have a proposition, but I dared not approach.
Yet you dare now.
God, I'm trying to be more friendly. You have nothing to offer me, scum. Let's see. If you have something to say it quickly.
Yes, just so. Here's the thing. What I mean to say is...
Spit it out.
Sorry. So nervous. I had a dagger made, for you, as a gift for your first command. Sent a messenger to deliver the dagger to you. Prince Trian had him thrown out. I don't know what offense he caused, but I had him beaten severely.
Sounds like Trian, doesn't it? Let me see this dagger.
Here it is, Your Highness.
That's an amazing piece, merchant.
You do me much honor, sir. The blade has been crafted over a period of 2 years by masters of every art. I wish to bless the Lord's first command, and hope that someday, when he rules, he will wear it.
Trian is heir. He will rule when King Endrin returns to the stone.
If the Assembly wills it. Forgive me, sir, but whispers say the second child of Endrin will be chosen.
Whispers indeed. It's a princely gift. If Trian recognizes it, though, it may send the wrong message. Or the right one, depending on your view.
Exactly. Right, that's what I was talking about earlier. So, damn what Trian thinks. I'll take it.
Thank you. You bring uncountable honor to me.
What he means is that you'll bring uncountable gold to him if you wear that piece in public.
Huh. Fair enough. Now then. Noble's dagger. It's not as good as our long sword, but we could dual wield it, now I think about it. I haven't played it. Oh god, no, I don't know. So I haven't played a dual wielding character in a very long time, and I've already picked perks in the short sword and shield style, but it's kind of tempting, you know. And doesn't it look awesome as well? Something to think about. I'll wear it for now, just because it looks badass. What else have we got here? Magic Merchant.
Lord Iduken, here in my booth? I am so...
He's fainted. You make quite the impression these days. Is it hard to be the king's child, never able to just blend in?
I think he'd probably quite frustrated about that. It's kind of annoying. Must be after a while. I hate it. I just wanted to talk.
There will be plenty of talk at the noble feast, though a less pleasant sort. Shall we move along?
I've never noticed that before. I just sort of clicked on it just now, as out of on a whim, really. But nice. Anyway, merchant. No other merchants I don't think we can speak to anyway.
My lord, are you heading to the proving arena?
I am indeed. Why do you ask?
We have been charged with the task of escorting you to the proving grounds.
I clean forgot about that. Forgive me, I should have informed you sooner. The king decided you are not to travel through the commons unguarded.
I am quite capable of walking safely to the proving.
I did mention the merchants that won permits to show their goods in the Diamond Quarter. There were only so many permits auctioned off, and quite a few were turned away. Your father fears you will be harassed on the way to the proving.
Alright then. This is silly, but I will comply.
Will we be leaving then?
Yes.
We are at your command.
Off we go! And there we go. Okay, Codex the Proving. Valos Atreidim. In the 23rd year of the reign of King Ragnar Iduken, an old man of the servant caste was accused of stealing a sapphire ring from his employer, Lord Dace. The servant was stripped of his position, and he and his family thrown to the streets, and soon after the servant died. The son of the disgraced servant challenged Lord Dace to a proving, declaring that his father had been the victim of a cruel injustice, and the ancestors would bear him witness. Lord Dace had no choice but to accept. On the sacred stone of the proving ground, the nobleman faced the servant boy. Lord Dace carried a sword crafted for his own hand and was clad in his great-grandfather's armour. The servant boy had neither armour nor weapon, but when the battle began, the boy fought like a whole pack of angry deep-stalkers, flinging himself upon the startled lord, wrenching the sword from his hand and prying at his armour with bare fingers. The boy knocked Lord Dace to the ground and beat him until the lord begged for mercy. The boy and his family were reinstated to their place in the Dace household, and the virtue of the boy's father was not questioned again. The ancestors had spoken, and no one would question their word, as told by Shaper Vortag. So there you go, the proving. Hello, proving master.
Your Highness, it is an honor to have you here. Have you come to watch these brave warriors do battle in your honor?
Wouldn't miss it.
Your presence encourages the fighters to greater feats.
I'll go and take my place then.
I'll call the first fighters in a moment.
And there we go. We have now officially watched the provings, I guess, because we're in our booth now, aren't we? Up here. There we go. Look, they're having a big battle down there. Are they just going to keep fighting, I wonder, or is one of them going to actually win? I'd be curious to find out. Looks like they're going to be wailing away on each other for a while. Never mind. Royal Escort, Proving Trainer, Proving Master. Hello!
I hope you're enjoying the proving so far.
Very much so. Proving Trainer.
Greetings, Lord Iduken. Are you enjoying the proving so far?
These fighters are pathetic compared to me. Gorim, why is this man speaking to me? I always enjoy watching a good fight.
Your presence will inspire these fighters to even greater effort.
This is the lead trainer of the provings, my lord. He teaches nobles from lower houses without their own trainers, and the best young men from the warrior caste.
He does Osmar a great service.
You are too kind. Did the two of you hear about the scandal here last week?
We've been preparing for tomorrow's battle, and have had little time for gossip.
I'm curious what scandal. Yeah, we are curious.
The Grey Wardens are in Orzammar, searching for recruits, so the warrior caste arranged a proving. The goal was for the Grey Wardens to recruit the winner, bringing him honor and a chance for glory.
I take it that didn't happen?
Well, yes and no. It was like nothing I've ever seen. Sir Everd, fresh from fighting Darkspawn, got dead drunk before the proving. Then some casteless bruiser took Sir Everd's armor, wore it, and won the proving.
Good for him. I think we're going to be quite amused by that.
Lord Iduken likes to see the world shaken up.
Well, shake up the world it did. They took the imposter to jail. I assume to be thrown into the deep roads as meat for the Darkspawn. The warrior caste is in an uproar. An incident like this raises many questions.
What kind of questions?
Well, how the brand got in here to begin with.
Or how a casteless learned to fight like that. They aren't even allowed to possess weapons.
I've heard they fight in the slums with the old cast-offs. I'm almost curious to see.
I doubt King Endrin would approve of that.
Ha! I suppose not. All right, I have to go check on the fighters. It was an honor to speak with you, Your Highness.
Nod. Yeah, we'll give him a cursory nod.
Of course, please excuse me.
Fascinating. So yeah. We do like to see the world shaken up a bit. Well, when the world consists of Orzammar, anyway. However, I doubt Harold is particularly... he probably agrees with the punishment, though, you know. like, because they clearly did something wrong. He finds it amusing, nonetheless, but he wouldn't disagree that they should be exiled or executed or whatnot, since those are the sacred traditions and whatnot. So, Royal Escort, hello,
my lord.
I'm ready to leave.
Your wish is our command.
Time we got to the feast and stuff. About time, I think, really. Tempted to go grab that helmet from that barrel, but I'm not going to. It would be unbecoming of me to go rooting around in the garbage. So instead, we're going to go to the feast. Speaking of which, I'm kind of hungry. Never mind. I shall finish this episode before I go and eat anything. Oh. Well, that is what I call a dining room.
Look, the Grey Wardens are here. The raid tomorrow must be more than a standard mission. The Wardens only go where the Darkspawn are the greatest threat.
Indeed. Concerning news.
My lord Iduka, might I bother you for a moment?
Oh, very well.
Many thanks for your willingness to hear me out, my lord. I wish to speak to you of a matter most urgent.
Can this wait until later?
Of course. I shall await your pleasure.
You know, I didn't expect him to actually say that. I want to go speak to the Grey Wardens first, quite frankly, actually. So, I think, well, at least, you know, Harold does. That's what I mean, really.
Greetings, my lord Idukan. It is an honor to meet you at last.
Right, now, here's a point I'm going to bring up. Well, 2 points, actually. The first being, what the heck is it with belts in this game? 1, 2, 3, 4 belts, kind of? 1, 2, 3, 4 belts. This one I can kind of almost imagine being useful because maybe his scabbards are attached to it or something, but why does he have 2 belts down here? This one I think might be attached to a bag, so that probably doesn't count, but just... And this, like this here. I've said it before when I've streamed this game before on Twitch, but... So some people will already know how I feel about this, but this game, some of the art direction in this game is really, really naff. Just exceptionally rubbish, frankly. Some of the armor in this game being a prime example of it. As you can clearly see, I think, really. So anyway, so Grey Wardens, this is my second point, and the kind of the far more important one. Harold is not terrifically fond of humans. He thinks they're a bit strange, the strange surface dwellers, and he's also maybe a little bit, I think like a lot of dwarves, possibly a bit resentful of them, especially when it comes to Darkspawn, because, you know, the dwarves have been dealing with the Darkspawn for you know, untold years, and suddenly the humans get all panicky because a few appear on the surface, and I think he kind of finds it quite laughable, really. But the Grey Wardens, considering they devote their entire existence to defeating the Darkspawn, the dwarves in general, as well as Harold himself, are very, very respectful of the Grey Wardens, and he's going to treat them with respect, consequentially. So, the honour is mine, Warden.
I have had the opportunity to recently meet with your father. He speaks highly of you. He says you may be the most skilled warrior in all of House Idukan.
Well, we shall see what happens tomorrow, shan't we?
Your response speaks of maturity beyond your years. We need more Grey Wardens like you, and quickly. Even as the Darkspawn weaken here in Ozamor, they are stirring on the surface. A blight has begun. Soon the fight must go beyond the deep roads, lest the Darkspawn threaten all the world.
No, that's not good. Good, let them leave our city and pester the humans, and that's a tempting option, however. Harold's smart enough to recognize that a blight is something different entirely. A blight represents a threat to Orzammar just as much as, you know, an army of Darkspawn down here would. So I do not know as much as I should about the Grey Wardens.
You know of our dedication to destroying the Darkspawn, our frontline presence during a blight. What else would you know?
Are there many of my people in the Grey Wardens?
Over the centuries, many dwarves have made names for themselves in our order. These days, however, there are fewer dwarves and thus even fewer dwarven Grey Wardens. A pity, since dwarven warriors have the most experience fighting Darkspawn.
Well, yes, I am an Arducan. Orzammar needs me here, unfortunately.
Then it is a good thing that you have other paths before you. Some are not so lucky. I wish you luck in the deep roads tomorrow. Show the Darkspawn the might of your people.
I will indeed. Now then, what is it you wanted, Lord Dace?
You've returned. Might you have time to talk now?
Nope, sorry.
Well, when you do...
I just realised I got a bunch of codex entries, so I'm going to read them first. In between trolling Lord Dace. The Grey Wardens. The first blight had already raged for 90 years. The world was in chaos. A god had risen, twisted and corrupted. The remaining gods of Tevinter were silent, withdrawn. What writing we have recovered from those times is filled with despair, for everyone believed, from the greatest archons to the lowliest slaves, that the world was coming to an end. At Weishaupt Fortress in the desolate Anderfels, a meeting transpired. Soldiers of the Imperium, seasoned veterans who had known nothing their entire lifetimes except hopeless war, came together. When they left Weishaupt, they had renounced their oaths to the Imperium. They were soldiers no longer. They were the Grey Wardens. The Wardens began an aggressive campaign against the Blight, striking back against the Darkspawn, reclaiming lands given up for lost. The Blight was far from over, but their victories brought notice, and soon they received aid from every nation in Thedas. So, yeah. Grey Wardens, apparently the Dragon Age equivalent of XCOM, basically, by the sounds of it. This has literally just occurred to me right now, but yeah, they're kind of like XCOM, but with Darkspawn instead of aliens. The Wardens began an aggressive campaign against the Blight, striking back against the Darkspawn, reclaiming lands given up for lost. The Blight was far from over, but their victories brought notice, and soon they received aid from every nation. Oh, I already read that, didn't I? Duh. Get a grip, Dave. They grew in number as well as reputation. Finally, in the year 992 of the Tevinter Imperium, upon the Silent Plains, they met the Archdemon Dumat in battle. A third of all the armies of northern Thedas were lost to the fighting, but Dumat fell, and the Darkspawn fled back underground. Even that was not the end. The Imperium once revered 7 gods: Dumat, Zazakel, Toth, Andorral, Razakael, Lusican, and Urthamiel. 4 have risen as archdemons. The Grey Wardens have kept watch through the gates. Ages. I can't read today, people. I'm sorry. Through the ages, well aware that peace is fleeting and that their war continues until the last of the dragon gods is gone. From Ferelden Folklore and History by Sister Petrine, Chantry Scholar. The Blights. My dear Annika, I would not worry about the assembly. Let the nobles sit together and argue over whose house owns the grandest tig. It keeps them from panicking, which they would surely do otherwise, and prevents them from making a greater nuisance of themselves. War is the business of warriors. I would say that the enemy's strategy seems to be changing, but they never appeared to have a strategy before, beyond destroying everything in their path. For weeks, their numbers have appeared to be dwindling. There was talk that perhaps we were getting close to wiping them out. We could not have been more wrong, for today we came upon the body of their main force. I cannot give words to it, Annika. I have never before seen so much death in one place. There were Darkspawn beyond counting, and at the heart of the throng, a great beast as tall as the palace of Orzammar, with breath of fire. A paragon of Darkspawn, perhaps, for they seemed to pay it deference. They were leaving, marching towards the mine shafts which lead to the surface. But I knew when I beheld them that once they have devoured what lies above, they will be back. From the letters of Paragon Idukan. So there you go. Yeah. Our own house's Paragon seem to recognise, it would seem, the threat that a blight poses even to the dwarves. So Hence my answer earlier when we were talking to Duncan. Anyway, Lord Dace, what does it want?
You've returned. Might you have time to talk now?
What's on your mind?
First, let me congratulate you on your commission. 2 of King Endrin's children now commissioned war leaders. It does great honor to your house.
You didn't stop me to exchange pleasantries.
Ha! No, I surely did not. Let us just pretend we spent another 10 minutes wishing good things on each other's houses, yes? There is a vote coming before the Assembly next week. And a word from you could go a long way towards helping our cause.
Yeah, is this going to be a bribe or blackmail? You know I don't do favours, Lord Dace.
Oh, I would never ask a favor with nothing given in return. I propose a mutually beneficial arrangement. The vote concerns the status of the so-called surface caste. Lost to the stone, air-touched, and so forth. Centuries ago, narrow-minded men declared that any dwarf who left to live on the surface forfeited his caste, and his house if noble. That he was, in essence, no longer a dwarf. I seek only to remedy an injustice, to retie the bonds of anyone who can trace himself to one of the noble houses wherever he may live. Please, agree to speak for this noble cause.
Dwarves who travel to the surface are no longer dwarves. I think we'll go with that. Like I said, Harold's quite the traditionalist in many ways, especially when it comes to stuff like that. He has himself obviously never been to the surface, and has no intention of going there as far as he's concerned. And that's the way he's kind of been brought up to think all his life as well, so I don't see why he probably wouldn't say something like that.
Let's be honest. I don't care a whit for those who have wandered from the stone. My wife, however, is a gem of a different color. She has a cousin, a useless sort, but she's quite fond of him. He joined a speculative venture to the surface, hoping to make his fortune, and went bust. Now he wishes to come home, but he cannot, for he has no house and would be casteless. For my wife's sake, I take up his cause. Will you lend me your voice?
What do I get in return?
I keep my ears to the stone, my lord. I hear many things, some of which could be a great help during your mission tomorrow. A little forewarning to help your forearming, if you know what I mean.
That sounds incredibly tempting, actually. Considering we don't know exactly what he means by that, he could very well not be talking about the Darkspawn at all. Very well then. What do I do?
When your father presents you to the noble houses, I will ask for your opinion on the matter. You have merely to say that you feel our surface brothers should be returned their noble rights. What could be more simple?
A new codex entry. The castes. Visitors to Orzammar should keep in mind that the hierarchies of Dwarven society are much more complex than our own. It is easy to gravely insult a man simply by mistaking his position. Since this can lead to unnecessary loss of life and limbs, I will attempt to mitigate the danger for my fellow travellers. The society of Orzammar is divided into nobles, warriors, smiths, artisans, miners, merchants, and servants. Now you're undoubtedly saying to yourself, we have all those divisions among our own people. This is a dangerous misconception. Certainly we do have nobility, artisans, merchants, and these positions are largely inherited from our parents. However, the younger children of noblemen often choose to be artisans or soldiers. The sons of merchants may join the army, or become servants, or apprentice themselves to a craftsman. This is all freely chosen, limited, perhaps, by the circumstances of birth, but still chosen. What is a matter of choice for most human folk is dictated entirely by birth for the dwarves. No one may become a smith who was not born to the smith caste. To smith caste parents, a servant who marries a nobleman will never be a noble himself, and although his daughters would be nobles, his sons would be servants. For daughters inherit the caste of their mother, while sons inherit the caste of their father. So there you go. From In Pursuit of Knowledge, the Travels of a Chantry Scholar by Brother Joe TV. who appears to be the Wogan Dwarf of the Dragon Age universe, aka he seems to have written every book under the sun. Well, we've also got other things. Well, yeah, this tutorial info, which we can ignore, but I'll just... Yep, away with you. There you go. Characters. Duncan. Men and women from every race, warriors and mages, barbarians and kings. The Grey Wardens sacrificed everything to stem the tide of darkness, and prevailed. Like many others, Duncan gave up his family name when he joined the ranks of the Wardens, a symbolic gesture of cutting ties. He may say this was a convenience in his case, however. His mother was from the Anderfells, his father from Tevinter. His childhood was spent in the Free Marches and Orlais. His people were everywhere, and his homeland was nowhere. He was given the almost impossible task of leading the Wardens in Ferelden, a kingdom that had thrown the Order out 200 years earlier. Facing local suspicion and hostility, he set about finding recruits. And here he is. So... how many are with him anyway?
You're a fool.
Excuse me?
Your mother would melt the stone if she knew what you just did.
Excuse me?
Lord Dace is playing you false. Go ahead, be his puppet. Your first command will be marked by every major house turning their back on you.
If you have something to say, do so.
If you are to play in the games of the Assembly, make sure you know the motivations of the players. Last spring, a guild from the Merchant caste invested heavily in an expedition with a guild from the surface. Lord Dace backed the Merchant Guild, pouring a great deal of money into the venture. The expedition was a disaster.
So, this is Lord Dace's play to recover his losses.
Clever child. Lord Dace lost a great deal of money and prestige. The Surface Guild has no way to repay the investment, but it does have several leading members who are descended from noble houses. House Helmi, Bimo, Dukin.
So if the surface dwellers return to their noble houses...
you begin to see the whole picture. Your house and mine would be forced to pay the Surfacers' kin debts. It would be a great victory for Lord Dace.
Alright, Lord Dace dies for this. It seems I need to have a talk with Lord Dace.
If you call his bluff, then you lose your chance to turn the tables. Let him think he has you. Smile and nod, and when he asks his question, tell him that the so-called Surface Caste are right where they belong. That should take Lord Dace down a peg or two.
No, I have a better idea.
You give up the initiative, but do as you must.
Oh, look at that. I like how even the food in Orzammar is different. Because they eat creatures that they find living underground as opposed to, you know, stuff that you'd find above ground. It's very clever. Well then, Lord of Dace.
You return. Were my instructions unclear?
I've spoken. I should kill you where you stand.
What would that do, besides get you cast into the deep roads or put down like a beast? Are you upset about something?
Your plan would have forced my house to pay surface debts.
I suppose it could. I mean, well, it's the spirit of the law that's important, right? Our poor, disenfranchised service brothers. Well played, Your Highness. Welcome to Assembly politics. Now, if you'll excuse me...
not so fast.
You've won. Don't be stupid about it.
You forget who you're speaking to. This is the guest of honor and child of the first house of Orzammar.
For now. We shall see what the future holds. Trian's grasp on the throne is in no way certain, and much can happen before then. Now let me be.
Your schemes are an insult to House Idukan.
Lords, ladies, our Lord Idukan has challenged the honor of Lord Dace.
Good job,
What's
Karin.
this? My son is already testing his reach?
Fantastic. I thought tonight would be all talk and drink.
My lord, are you sure you wish to do this? You realize that it is Lord Dace's son, Mandar, a formidable duelist, who will defend the honor of House Dace in approving.
Okay. I was counting on it.
Very well. There is to be approving, then.
Let the ancestors judge who has the right of their cause. To the proving grounds! Men and women, lords and ladies, may I have your attention, please? We are gifted to have in our presence the Lord Idukan, in whose honor today's provings were fought. Today, House Idukan makes a challenge of honor against House Dace. These two brave combatants have come to prove the righteousness of their causes.
A little more ceremony than I wanted, but let's go.
The proving begins now!
And I need to equip my shield. Quickly. Ah, there we go. Down you go, mate. Nope. Oh boy. Oh, crikey. Christ, come on. Hit something, Harold. I thought you were supposed to be an amazing fighter.
Less fighting, more dying, bless you!
Exactly. Let's go with shield defense.
How about you? Show me what you got!
There we go. Ball's gonna be close. There we go.
I need healing. The proving is at an end. Mandar Dace has been found wanting by the ancestors, and House Dace is guilty of dishonoring House Idukan.
This is my fault. My son has died defending my honor.
I am sorry for your loss, Ronus. It was the ancestors' will.
Yes, the ancestors. I'm sorry. Excuse me, my king.
Serves you right. Damn it. So, there we go. Harold, it would appear, managed to get the last laugh. As he would prefer it, quite frankly. Now then, we better get this ceremony over with.
When he mistimed that backswing, I knew he was going down.
Poor bastard. Still, couldn't wish it on a nicer house.
Well put. Our new commander taught House Dace a serious lesson.
The hour is late. These Deshers have waited patiently, as have the Grey Wardens. Are you ready to be presented to the heads of the noble houses?
Of course.
So dutiful. Very well, let us begin. Lords, ladies, grant me a moment of your time. We are here today so I may present to you my second eldest child, blessed by the stone and born of the blood that ran in the veins of the Paragon Idukan. Who would pose a question to the prospective commander? Who seeks to know the prospect better? No? Very well then. The ritual is complete. I give you Orzamar's next commander. Tomorrow, our newest commander will lead part of a mission to strike a great blow to the Darkspawn. Not only does this recover access to some of our most important mines, but it also allows our honored guest Duncan, head of Ferelden's Grey Wardens, to strike far into the deep roads.
Thank you, King Endrin. While the Darkspawn seem to withdraw, it is only because they are massing on the surface. This could mean a blight, and my men and I will discover the truth.
We are honored to have you with us, my friend. Now, feast, drink, and celebrate, for the morning brings battle! As for you, my new commander, find your brother Trian and send him to me. He may be watching the provings, or getting some rest in his rooms.
Of course, Father.
Walk well, Commander.
Ah, Commander. I like the sound of it. It has a nice ring to it, don't you think, Gorham? By the way, come on, you. Stop slacking. Codex. Darkspawn. The surfacers claim that the first Darkspawn fell from heaven. They spin tales of magic and sin, but the Children of the Stone know better. The Darkspawn rose up out of the earth, for it was in the deep roads they first appeared. Creatures in our own likeness, armed and armoured, but with no more intelligence than a Tezpadam, bestial and savage. At first they were few, easily hunted and slain by our warriors, but in the recesses of the deep roads they grew in numbers and in courage. Our distant tigers came under attack, and now it was the army, not a few warriors, being sent to deal with the creatures. Victories still came easily, though, and we thought the threat would soon be over. We were wrong, as told by Sheba Seabor. We've also got characters, apparently. King Endrin Iduken. Denial of the traditions of our people does not qualify as a political technicality. Endrin of House Iduken traces his ancestry back to the Paragon Iduken, the greatest warrior of Orzammar's history, who beat back the Darkspawn hordes in the First Blight. The second son of King Ansgar Iduken, he became heir after his elder brother died in a proving. The most respected king in 4 generations, he restored contact with Kal Sharok, the only other remaining city of the once vast Dwarven Empire, which had been lost during the First Blight. There we go. More tutorial stuff that's going to annoy me if I don't get rid of it. There we go. So there we are. Time to go find Trian, who has been conspicuously absent, I might add, from our feast. I think he's this way. It's a servant.
Ancestors watch over you, my lord.
There they are.
So you're a commander now, in name at least. Shouldn't you be attending our King Father?
You two were not at the feast. Balin, how was your day? I'm gonna do that. Balin, how was your day?
Interesting. I would have been at the feast, but Trian had need of me.
The world does not stop and start with your meager achievements. Not even tonight. Now, do you have some purpose in bothering us?
Father is worried that you're too much of an ass to be prince. Yep, we're gonna do it. We really don't like Trian.
You push your luck. Balin, get to bed. We have a big day tomorrow. I will see what our father wishes from his heir.
I honestly don't know how you put up with him.
My patience is beginning to wear thin.
And what I'm going to tell you next won't make you any more fond of him.
What are you talking about?
Trian has begun to move against you. I never thought his much-proclaimed honor would allow him to actually act on his jealousy. Big brother, Trian is going to try to kill you.
He recognizes I'm a threat. Good. I think we're gonna go with that.
He fears what you are becoming, in the eyes of the people and the Assembly. Trian's the named prince, but only the Assembly can proclaim a king. It would be unusual for the Assembly to ignore the king's choice, but it does happen.
The founder of House Bimo became a paragon and king in one move from the Assembly, and he was a commoner.
That was an extraordinary case, but at least a half-dozen times the Assembly named a lesser family member, or even someone from another house, as king. Usually, it's the popular younger brother of an undesirable prince.
Well, I would make a good ruler.
You slaughtered the heir to House Dace, one of the most powerful houses in Orzammar, because his father dared to challenge your house's honor. If you win glory against the Darkspawn tomorrow, it will only strengthen the case for you as the next heir. Trian fears father will replace him on the spot. If not, the Assembly will surely turn against him when father dies. You know his pride will never allow him to step aside.
What's your angle in this, Balin?
It seems Trian has shown that brothers can't always be trusted. I am next in line. If Trian succeeds in his plot against you, how long do you think I'll live?
Gorim, what do you... What, I'm looking for some input here.
Permission to speak freely?
Of course.
Trian would make a terrible king, but no one wants to say it. He has just enough backing in the Assembly to make it ugly when your father dies, but not enough to become king. Killing him now makes your house stronger and saves a great deal of bloodshed later.
Well... We'll wait, see what he does.
Very well. I'll keep my eyes open. I don't want to lose the brother I actually like.
Well, Trian probably won't do anything stupid.
I hope you're right, but my heart says this will end badly. I'm taking your place as father's second, so I'll be at hand tomorrow. For now, try to get some sleep.
Let's go. You don't want to keep those lovely ladies waiting.